And welcome to Mrs. Pam Reads. Just checking my volume real quick. Looks like we're good. Okay, where we are continuing in The Magic Circle by Katherine Neville. And since I'm fiddling with my sign, I'll flip it around and say, if you haven't subscribed to the channel and you find that you've been enjoying this story or other stories, go ahead and subscribe. It's free. And if you click that little bell tab, you will get a notification every time a new video posts. All right, in our last video, it started out with Ariel and Wolfgang having a little fling in the morning. And then they went and met her grandmother, Zoe, in a restaurant. And Zoe was surprised at how much she looked like her other grandmother, Pandora. And then they talked about Zoe's past a little bit and the fact that Hitler was basically a member of the family, considered a member of the family, and how he had power over the masses, so to speak. And then let's see, for some reason, they're going to go face to face. What was that? Oh, well, she's basically disgusted with the fact that Zoe was so close to Hitler. So instead of being sick because she felt like she was going to be sick, she decided to finish her drink named after her grandmother and confront her face to face. That's where we left off. So this could be interesting. So this is Zoe, Ariel, and Wolfgang all in the restaurant. Let's get this straight. You think there's something primal and archetypical that makes ordinary people resonate to the idea of genocide? I asked her. You think your pal Lucky, her nickname for Hitler, was just some ordinary Joe with an idea whose time had come? You believe we just need permission from someone in authority for most folks to play follow the Fuhrer and do the same thing again today? Well, let me tell you, lady, there's nothing primal, archetypical, metaphorical, or genetic that would cause me to take any action without full awareness at a conscious level of what I was doing and why. Whew, okay. I have lived long enough, Zoe said calmly, to see what forces are unleashed by making contact at such deep levels, including those you've triggered by Pandora's manuscripts. So let me ask you something. Was it not you who requested this interview we are having? Are you then fully aware that the date you've chosen, today, April 20th, 1989, marks the 100th anniversary of Adolf Hitler's birth? Is it a coincidence? I felt horrid. A horrid chill as I forced myself to look into those clear, frozen eyes of my awful, awful grandmother. But unhappily for me, she hadn't quite finished. Now, I shall also tell you something you must believe. Who doesn't grasp the mind of Adolf Hitler will grasp neither Pandora Basserides and her manuscripts, nor the true motives driving Die Familie Ben. I'd hoped Wolfgang would make it clear to you, I told her coldly. I came to Paris for one reason. I thought you might be the only person living who could explain the mystery of Pandora's legacy and unravel the many secrets surrounding our family's relation to them. I didn't come to hear Nazi propaganda. I came here for the truth. So, my girl, you want everything to be true and false, good and bad, black and white. But life is not that way, nor has it ever been. The seeds are in each of us. Both things are watered and grow side by side. And when it comes to our family, your family, there's a great deal you'd be quite unwise to turn your eyes from just because you can't sort things easily into boxes. It's not always easy to separate grain from chaff, even once the crop has been harvested. Gee, I've never been a whiz at deciphering parables, I said, but if your idea of truth is that we're all potential mass murderers unless we stumble onto the right fork, I'd disagree. What makes civilized people think they can get up one morning, round up their neighbors, shove them into boxcars, tattoo them with serial numbers, then ship them off to a farm somewhere to be methodically exterminated? That is not the right question, said Zoe, echoing Dacian Bassarides. Okay, what's the right question? I wanted to know. The right question is, what makes them think they can't? Ooh. I sat there looking at her for another long moment. I had to admit, if only to myself, it was the right question. Yet it was clear Zoe's and my perspectives from the starting gate were very different. I'd made the perhaps naive assumption that all people were innately good, but capable of being led into evil acts on a mass scale by the dark, hypnotic manipulations of a single man. On the other hand, Zoe, who I had to recall actually knew the man, had the position that we came equipped with the seeds of good and evil, and all it took to tip the balance the wrong way was a gentle nudge. What was the secret ingredient, clearly buried deeply within all sane societies, that prevented us from shooting our neighbors just because we didn't like the way they cut their hair or mowed their lawns? For wasn't that precisely what Hitler said he hated most about the Gypsies, Slavs, Mediterraneans, and Jews? That they were different? And in fact, I should know better than anyone that tribal hatred and genocide were hardly a fairy tale lost in the midst of the long ago and far away. It still echoed in my mind from my first day at school in Idaho. Sam had escorted me, and as we'd passed some other boys in the hallway, one had whispered, just loud enough for Sam to hear, "The only good Indian is a dead Indian." My God, it sickened me at that very time. I scratched a little deeper into the surface of family history. I found something ugly, chilling, or unacceptable. But I did understand that whatever my newfound fascist grandmother here had to say, it might indeed prove the one thing that would bring me closer to the center Dacian had called truth, at least about our family. So I swallowed the dryness in my mouth and nodded for Zoe to proceed. She set down her glass and narrowed her eyes at me. In order for you to understand any of this, whether or not you find it pleasant, you must first understand that the nature of relationships we, in our family, had with Lucky were different from those he had with others. Okay. There were some who thought they knew him well, like Rudolf Hess, who named his son after Lucky's secret name, Wolf. More attuned was Joseph Goebbels, who had 6 beautiful blonde children, an interesting number, 6. Their names were Helga, Hilda, Helmut, Halde, Hede, and Heide. I'm sorry. She looked at me intently, then asked, "Perhaps you don't know what happened to these little blonde Goebbels children whose names all began with H. They too were sacrificed on Wolperknacht, poisoned with cyanide in Hitler's Berlin bunker by their parents, who killed the pet dog Blondie in the same fashion and then took their own lives too. Sacrificed? What on earth do you mean? I exclaimed. May Eve is the night of sacrifice and purgation. Purgation, purging, basically. Zoe explained. The next day, May 1st, was once called Beltane, Bells or Baal's fire, the sixth station of the Celtic calendar and the pivotal midpoint of the pagan year. The prior night, when Hitler committed suicide, April 30th, was in ancient times called the Night of the Dead, the only pagan holy day never converted to the Christian calendar. It still possesses its original undiluted, primal power. You can't mean the people who died in Hitler's bunker sacrificed their own children in some kind of pagan rite? I asked in horror. So did not answer directly. The most important event of that night was the first, a marriage that took place between two people who knew they would soon be dead, Zoe said. Adolf Hitler, of course, was the bridegroom. But who was the bride in this oddly timed wedding? An insignificant woman who filled a significant role and who, interestingly, was named Eve, like the first woman in the Bible, the mother of us all. Her last name describes the color of earth, the prima materia, that provides the basis of all alchemical transmutations. Ooh, she was Eva Braun. And with that observation, Zoe began her tale. And we are going to stop there. It's a new section in the book. Oh, okay. Now, couple things. One, I'm just sitting here reading. So if I misread or trip over my tongue, if I were reading out loud in person to people, that would happen and I wouldn't rewind and re-record. So if I make a mistake, I say sorry or I chuckle and I just keep going. The other, this is a historical fiction. So a lot of that stuff right there, I've never heard before. So I don't know, is it fact or fiction? But if you're curious about it, go look it up. Never take anything that you read, especially in a historical fiction, that it's all fact. It could be, but you don't know till you check. All right, you guys. Hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time.